course, many things you should consider when analysing an assignment topic. These include the due date and the word limit, for example. Note that at Monash we have a 10% leeway for the word limit. That means you can go either 10% upwards of the word limit or 10% below the word limit. You should always identify the number of elements in the topic, including the limiting words, direction words, and content words. You should look for connections between ideas and examine the implications of the topic you were given. Consider, for example, different interpretations to the question. Finally, it is always important to examine the criteria for marking that your examiner has given you. This is because it tells you what the lecturer considers to be most important for this assignment. The technique I'm going to explain to you today is known as the bug technique. In this technique, you put a box around the direction word. That is the word that tells you what you have to do. For example, discuss, analyze, illustrate, evaluate, and so forth. Then you underline the content words and the limiting words. These are the words that tell you what you should be talking about and what you should not be talking about. Finally, you look over the question and see if there's any word that you have not previously either underlined or put a box around that is important to the overall meaning of the question. These you should highlight. I'm going to illustrate this technique to you using this example topic. Android mobile phones rather than Apple iPhones should be the standard smartphones used in society. Discuss. Using the technique, I put a box around the word discuss, as this is the instruction word telling me what to do. Discuss means to examine the reasons for and against the statement that has preceded it. Therefore, I need to examine the overall implications of the topic. Then, I've underlined the content words and limiting words. In this case, I should be talking about Android phones and Apple iPhones and whether they should be used in society or not. And I should not be talking, for example, about Windows-based phones. Finally, I look over the question and notice that there's one word that is actually quite important to the overall meaning of the topic, and that is the word should. That is because should indicates you need to make a decision as to whether you agree or disagree with this statement, and then write the assignment accordingly using evidence to back up your opinion. So that is putting a box around the instruction word, underlining the content words and limiting words, and glancing back over the topic to highlight any word that is particularly important to the overall topic.